So it's quite interesting to hear the actual final product. It always comes out magnificently. The way you ended was discussing duality.
Yes.
And you also discussed nature,
Yes.
and that cycle. And in my reading and understanding, a lot of people find inspiration in nature.
Yes.
Finland has been quite rural country, and there's kind of a regard for nature.
Yeah.
Now, your research has focused on urban,
Right.
Helsinki residents.
Yes.
Would you find that they have this background or connection to nature, even though they have lived in the city? Because Finns, they're known for having their cottage and kind of going up in nature.
Yes.
Is that something that's kind of a connecting thread for them?
Yes. That is a very important question, and I think it's something that I will be writing about in my thesis because it's so important for Finnish people, the question of nature. Yes, I would say that for most people that I met, even if they were and had been living in Helsinki forever or from their birth, nature is still really, really important. And it kind of manifests in different ways. Lots of them, they were trying to keep going to their summer cottages as long as they could. And it was obviously one, it was a moment of giving up. It was like one kind of a virstanpylväs, one like a goalpost or something, when they had to give up the countryside in that way. But then, nature can be so many things. For somebody who was really ill, they couldn't really get out of their bed, and they were still at their home, and they lived in suburbs of Helsinki, they asked that the family members took all of the curtains away so that they would have a maximum view to outside. And there were some trees outside, and she would look at those trees. And she said for her, and this was again one of the examples, for her, what she was doing, it was kind of a meditation, the trees, the birds, whatever was going on there, she used to kind of escape. She would go into the scenery and find, literally she said, kind of a gate through the scenery, and then she would be gone away from her pain or whatever was going on. And then also, in Helsinki, we have a lot of siirtolapuutarha. What is that in English? Those little lots that people, what is that? Community gardens. And that can be a really, we think that it's just like one little lot of dirt or something somewhere, but it can be a really fundamental part of people's identity. The act of not just, looking, but being involved with the soil. For somebody, that was the moment when they had to give up the being involved with the soil. That was really the hard moment. But yes, I think for most people, nature still plays a part. But then again, like we saw the picture of the the National Library. That's not nature. That's architectural beauty. So we find what we have. We use what we have. People are amazingly creative. Our minds are amazingly creative. Yeah.
Thank you. So I have a question, because people believe different things, like what happens after death.
Yes.
Some believe that it's just the end. Some believe that there's something else happening, like it's a good world, it's a bad world. So I was curious that people that you have met, like most of them, what did they believe? And maybe if you can share your own belief, like what happens after death?
What a question. If I start with my patients. Well, this is really, this was an interesting, I have a background, I've done research in Buddhist cultures and in various religious and traditions and religious phenomena. So for me, of course, this was a really interesting question. What do we find in this way? And it was actually quite surprising to me that, I was looking if there are things that people were doing in order to be prepared for dying. Like in the old days, people would do certain religious, ritualistic things in order to be ready to die. I was looking at that, whatever kind of things they would be. And yes, they were preparation rituals, we could call them, but they were very this worldly. It was all about writing a will, organizing closets, getting rid of stuff, maybe writing, you know, like the most non-material things were usually about writing maybe a letter, or then writing a blog or something like this, which is kind of a legacy, like a spiritual or mental legacy. But very, very little actual strong beliefs. Of course, then there are few people who still follow the Christianity, and they believe more or less according to Christian ideas, but not very many. Most people, frankly, most people at that point would say that, I think this is it, you know. Some people say, well, you know, I really don't know, but you know, there must be something, right? Can't be just this. There must be something. What I think, maybe, I mean, of course there is something. The point is that we die, but when I go, everything else stays. If there is eternal life, I think that's the eternity, that the life, whatever the energy, you know, however you call it, the vitality, it stays and it goes on and on and on. Even after the last person or human, we know that this will go on. That's the real eternity, I feel. And then, to what extent it's infused with some sort of a divine or other kind of power, I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. You tell me.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you very much for being here. What caught my imagination initially, especially, was the death image and the mushrooms there. If you look at the very first slide.
Oh, the first slide. Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean this one?
No, from today's theme.
This one?
No, from today's theme.
Not yours.
Ah, okay, sorry. Yes.
So with that in mind, prior to my own psychedelic experience, I was doing research for myself about reading up about the significance of LSD and psilocybin and the roles that they've played in people's lives, and how they started to do research in the States
Yes.
by treating people with these psychedelic
Yes.
experiences. And majority of the people found them to be out of the top 5 most profound experiences
Yes.
in their lives.
Yes.
Having had my own experience, I can agree. However, my curiosity now is in the sense that what is the role or positions that you found, or is there an interest from your patients and others that you've met regarding the desire to explore this area more here in Finland?
Yeah.
Giving people this chance to understand the role that they play and how that they can also set them free, also maybe prior to even experiencing the life that they are going to die, but
Yeah.
letting that be as a sign towards the rest of society to experience that ego death
Yeah.
in order to die well so that you can live well,
Yeah.
rather than wait right till the end
Yeah.
and then say, oh wait, actually I've never to say life is actually great considering the situation and it's worth living and doing more with.
Yeah. That was a great question. Not only the actual question, but what you built around it. This eco death, what you referred to, I mean, if I can say just a couple of words about it. I was in the Netherlands, in Utrecht University, listening, or I attended for a week to a summer school with philosopher Rosi Braidotti. And she talked about two different kinds of deaths, personal death and impersonal death. Personal death would be this ego death. And she said, it's really, really important that you understand that you're mortal, that you understand that you have limited time, that we are here for a kind of with a timeshare, so to say. And when our timeshare is done, then we go and the rest of the thing will stay. It's ecological responsibility and ethical responsibility for us to get this, really. But once you get it, then go on with your life. Like, don't make such a fuss about your personal death, she said. What's the fuss? She would say. Every day she was talking about, just get on with it. You know, we're all gonna die. We're just visitors here. It's not such a big deal. And I really tend to like the way she put it. And that's really, I think, the challenge that I would like give to you, because I see lots of young people, creative young people, that this is, I think, like our, where we should try to get our society to, like, to this kind of realization, because we need to take responsibility of our timeshare, right? We are not doing that very well at the moment. But then, you know, focus on the life, you know, forget about the fuss about your own death. But about the mushrooms and stuff, well, is this like, are we kind of hooked up to some sort of mic and stuff? I've also lived in many places in the world and seen different kinds of things. And I think Finland, you know, we are a bit slow in different things, but I think this is definitely, I mean, I've been reading the same researches and same reports probably that you have. And I think this is definitely an area that should be explored in some way. And, you know, we have different means. That wouldn't work for everybody. You know, some people, they become, they can't cope with that, you know. It's not for everybody. We have different means. And we should explore the different means, what we have. You know, for some people it might be meditation or some religious ritual or whatever. You know, these are all just means to get to some sort of understanding and to get to a place where we are okay with the reality, really to understand what is the reality. I mean, that's really what the avoidance is about. I mean, we are refusing to understand how things really are. And then, you know, about all the possibilities that these experiences may open up for one to realize maybe those things would make us more responsible. But it's tricky because I'm sure that it's not working for everyone. But I think that it's, among my research patients, nobody, you know, we are still, you know, talking about people who've grown up during the war times, and you know, Finland was Finland urbanized only in '60s. I mean, we are like really, really young. But then that means that maybe we do have still some sort of we need to think of I think the positives. We have like some strength in there, that we have still some connection with the land, because that's really one way to get some realization, when you can feel the land. There are people who feel physically in them when land is raped. And there is something there. And that can be one source how to get connected and to understand things, I feel. Yes, please.
Hi.
Hey.
So you talked about spending maybe months, weeks with certain people.
Yeah.
I was wondering, how difficult is it for you mentally to meet these people, collect these stories, and
Yeah.
get experiences, and then maybe see these people pass
Yeah.
away after you got
Yeah.
to know them? How do you deal with it? Like, how does it get too overwhelming?
Yeah. Yeah. When I was starting, I have somebody I know who works in the ethics of medicine, and he said to me that you need to have therapists during the whole process. You can't do this without it. I told my professor that I was told that I should have therapists by the university, but they didn't pay that for me. So I think I'm still okay, no, managing. But it's, I mean, this is a serious question. I sometimes joke that I'm very Karelian, you know, emotions come and go, and I think that's been one savior for me, that I live through things pretty intensely, but I somehow tend to be able to then also leave them behind. But it definitely hasn't been easy. Maybe the hardest thing has been that, you know, in often cases, in often times, not always, sometimes, you know, the patient has really taken me somehow as part of their life, and I've met their family members and so on. But in most of the cases, I am somebody that they are meeting really privately, they're really happy to have, and this is one interesting question. I was questioned in the university that do people really want to talk to a foreign person when they are about to die? But actually, yes, people do. People are really, most people, not everybody of course, but most people are really happy to have somebody that is not a priest, nor a doctor, nor a family member. Somebody to share their feelings with. And but usually it was always private. So I wasn't part of the rest of their life. And when they passed, I didn't have like an official place in the mourning ritual, so to say. And that was really hard for me, that I couldn't go and take part. In a couple of cases, I actually was able to be there, but it was still awkward. The patient had told to invite these Maija Butters into their funeral. So I was there, but I didn't know anybody. It was almost like I didn't have the permission to mourn. And that was really hard, very hard. Then I have still a couple of minutes. I can share with you something that made my trip quite much more harder. And now I'm almost gonna cry. You can see the emotions come and go. But it was that my own mom actually, she died within this period that I was doing my research. And what happened was that it took almost a year for me to make all the paperwork to get the permission to get approved by the ethical board of the hospital and blah, blah. So after all the paperwork was done, I finally was able to start in the field. And I had been in the hospital for a week when I heard that my mom had a lung cancer, and it was extremely bad case, and she actually died in 4 months. So that was very hard, but then maybe in some weird way, because then I did mourn, and I was really broken and really sad. Maybe I mourned my mom, but I also mourned for many other people too. So it has been very hard, but I have some personal therapeutic methods that I use to cope with this situation. And then, of course, always there is this feeling of guilt that I haven't, it's weird. We tend to feel guilty about a lot of things that I didn't do enough, or even though I was just a researcher, but I still take these things very personally. I mean, how could I do this research if I didn't? I have to, I feel. Hopefully, let's put it in this way. I hope that when my thesis is done, and it's going to be in English, so hopefully after 1 year, it's about 1 year, it's going to be done. And then I hope that with this thesis, I can, make justice and give back, and it's going to give something, yeah.
Based on your experiences and what you see in others, what's sort of the top of the list thing to experience or sort of face in terms of making this a more thing
Like
getting on with it, as you said. So at this point in time, anybody, what can we do?
What can you do? Well, this is the thing. This is the wrap. I know what I'm doing, and I'm doing what I'm doing. But you are you, and some of you are 20 years younger than I am. So you need to find your own way. And I'm sure, this is a room filled with incredible creativity. So I'm sure that you have ideas what to do. And at least you, when you're smart, you know the problems. And because you're young, you have the enthusiasm. And then you can bind those, and you have also the energy. You're not dead yet, so act.